tunashare ili nione kwa laptop yenye tunafaa kushare screen, labda si kwa simu lakini lakini watu wakiona before I'm go to that. lakini
long enough.
nimewashia
Kuna direct kwa sasa.
oh yeah.
Yeah, welcome guys. This is the Swypt approach. Yeah, so this is not the they can put ourselves out there. Yeah, so Stephen, I think we will introduction for Tim. And then I will start with you. Yeah. So, from our audience across the world, uh, welcome to our launch. I'm called Steve Mashanda, Chief Product Co-founder of Swypt. And we have a team here, so we can let them start.
Thank you so much, Steve, for that. Welcome everyone for our own Better Launch program. It's been a journey for us, and we are happy to be here to actually deliver the product for you guys that you can test. Everyone can, get the feel of what we are actually trying to bring to the market. So maybe a round of introduction. Chief Executive Officer at Swypt. I'm also a protocol engineer in practice. I build blockchain systems, exemplifying digital lending, staking, and B2B systems that are automated. So that's me professionally, and I'm happy to be part of a team that is actually vision oriented, a team that is looking at the future, and actually solving use cases that are quite complex and use cases that actually touch the needs of the people. Yeah. So, try to you guys are going to introduce yourself. Okay, on my left is Mike. Michael Kazumu is our ecosystem manager. Also on his side on Swypt. He's the guy in charge of all the architecture using an interactive. I'm proud to say that I have worked with for so many years. His work ethic is top notch. And if you're looking for besides that are, world class. He's the guy from coach. You can find him on LinkedIn at
Michael Tasu.
tell the guys.
Yes, in fact, my name is Michael Kazungu. I've been designing since 2016. I have built products in media, I've built different applications in fintech, I've built application in networking, and now touching down with 4 years experience in blockchain and decentralized finance. I'm very happy and very glad that I've been able to work in the last 2 years with one of the most elite teams in the space in Kenya and in Africa. What we have managed to build over the last 2 years, building silently as well. A lot of people were like, yeah, silent building, came up with the first proof of concept last year in September when we showcased to its Safari. We were so excited, and then a lot of us started building a very good team, which is cybersecurity experts, and then attracted a lot of interest from other investors. But I'm happy so that the team has Swypt will be able to build an automated P2P system, something that is going to touch a lot of use cases, I believe, in decentralized finance. Bridging decentralized finance and mobile money is something that we really wanted to do, because here in our region, East Africa and Africa, mobile money is the thing. So making it easier for people to buy, sell using mobile money, I'm very proud of the team that we've been able to do that. So thank you, David, for introducing me. And yeah, happy to continue building with the team, building protocols for our system.
Thank you so much, Mike, for that well-elaborated introduction of yourself. Yes, and on my far left, that's our very able security expert, his name is Alvin, and I just let him explain his prowess. It's quite robust, so I can't even use my words. So stay alone.
Okay, thank you. My name is Alvin Siawan. My name is Alvin Mon. You guys know me as Jada 54. The security guy over there, the push everything is security. Proud to join the team and Swypt. We have done a very good progress. As usual, we security guys, we don't expose ourselves. So all I can say is that the product is secure. And trust Swypt. Yeah.
Amazing. Maybe for viewers' necessity or viewers' need, I will introduce Swypt, so that everyone can really understand what we are doing at Swypt. So Swypt is a fintech company that uses blockchain technology to bridge the gap between traditional finance and decentralized finance. And we offer a P2P, automated P2P system that allows you to do direct exchange between digital currency and local currency just under 30 seconds. Yeah. That's how fast our system is, and we're proud to say that. And in addition to that, we also offer payment swipes. It's a utility service that allows you to pay for goods, pay for your daily utilities. You can go somewhere to a grocery shop, put in a certain number, and it's swapped directly from your digital wallet to the M-Pesa team. Very fast, even under 30 seconds. 30 seconds is just a limit, but it's actually very fast, even more than that. So we're proud to say that we've been able to achieve that. Maybe just a brief history of us. So it started in 2023, last year, around March. That's when we conceptualized the idea. And actually how it came about is just we looked at the market, we pinpointed what actually users need. And at that point, we were all interacting with the digital currency of the day. But the biggest issue was insulating those assets. Yeah, and I think it's still a big issue right now. So using that, so we we were able to gather a team of experts in finance and technology, and we came up together to model a program that actually satisfies those needs. So I'm happy for that journey. It's been a year. We Around last year, September, we introduced ourselves at Eat Safari, which is an event that happens every year in Kilifi that showcases products in Web3. And we were happy to participate in that event because it actually gave us a broader perspective of what people actually need and what people are building. It gave us more use cases to understand what actually the Kenyan market is. And I'm happy to say our vision and aim is to ensure that we've provided a product that caters for the need of the people. We want to bring financial inclusivity, we want to bring financial empowerment and create diversity. And we believe a product like Swypt stands in the middle of that limitation that is in our current financial system. And this is just the beginning. We are envisioned to offer more products exemplifying, microloans for the SMEs, investments, and most importantly, is to empower users to create wealth, right? Yes. So, Steve, back to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what's in it that you like us to mention is the utility.
Yes.
I think we do utility and security. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, because we need to some time to build different iterations, not just amongst us, but with users that we identify as believers in the product over time.
Yeah.
So it builds a product that has gone through the maturity that we can say that, hey, this particular product connects with the African mind and the culture that we're used to here in Africa. So, and we're quite happy to have the kind of validation for people who understand in the industry for quite some time and have connected to what we're trying to achieve. And we see like we're really trying to solve a problem. And the problem is, the challenge with inflation. So because we see it is quite difficult to engage with this. So and you have to make sure we try to make the access to USDT, like such stablecoins accessible very quickly through the most common mobile money solutions that we have. And we also have to actually mention the fact that mobile money has been a critical factor to make Kenya, as advanced as it is in terms of GDP. And you see, that is why, the integration with mobile money was quite instrumental to make this work for Kenyans actually and East Africans. So now going down to the utility. So what can someone do with Swypt? Yeah. So number one, you have no idea what blockchain is, don't know what crypto is. So these are one product for you. So because you can be able to be able to create a wallet and interact with it in the easiest way possible, like as if it was just like a normal app, just like a so whereby you can buy some stablecoin and have it to maintain some of your wealth in terms of stablecoin. And you can utilize it as it is. You don't have to liquidate it to shield it, you're just going to interact with it. And you can interact with it through any payment activity or transaction, from paying for bills, paying for power, paying for rent, such stuff, sending some cash back home through the wallet. And it is a hybrid DeFi product. So meaning that it's mobile money, but the origin side is very, very DeFi. So which I think we're going to talk about that on the security side of things. Yeah. So we're really proud to have made this happen, have it work, because we do believe this is what Kenyans want. As we pivot to the different markets across the world. Yes. So Yeah, if you want to pay for some matatu as you go home in the evening, yeah, Swypt is just connect to your self-custody wallet, whether it be Trust Wallet, MetaMask, wallets, Binance or 3, and then pay the conductor fees for the moment, just like that, you see. So, and even for the bank payments as well. Yeah. So it's going to be quite instrumental to add to what mobile money has added to the economy in terms of GDP across the country. Yeah. So I think we would like us to go towards security and
Yeah, then we can yeah, move on with the program. Yes, thank you.
Okay, about security at Swypt. The first, it's key. Security is key, as shown on all products. At Swypt, we have what you call security audits, the penetration test. They are regular penetration tests. At DevSecOps, when we have a feature coming up, what we do, we have to do a couple of security testing, source code, the smart contract auditing, the APIs, as well as the what you call the user interaction. That's the social logins and everything. So we have a couple of internal security audits from we have a very good team that works on that. It's an expert level team. Most of us have done the bounties, the blockchain audits, the blockchain research, security research, and everything. So at Swypt, we secure the user's transactions. We find that the APIs, we have the authentication, the validation of the transactions, the transaction hashes and everything. So you find that here, when attackers try to maybe manipulate the off-ramping or the on-ramping, we have caught data, but there's no product that's 100% secure. That's why at Swypt we promise that, not we promise, but we are still doing it every day in the after, we have security audits. In case of anything, in case of an update, we audit the feature and go back again and audit the whole product. That's from on-ramping to off-ramping. Again, on the user side, we have a program we are planning to educate our users. Here we educate our users how to use the platform, how to avoid the scammers, the Yahoo boys. Of course, once you are in, the Yahoo boys, right? Yeah, that's because yeah. Okay. When we have a Web3 product that actually deals with finance, you find that these Yahoo boys, this is the hot cake. These guys, they want to go, it's highly, you cannot track them easily. Because in this guys, still the tokens or the crypto, let's call it crypto. If these guys take crypto, on the other hand, they can still cash out. Because if they swap to anonymous tokens like Monero and everything, so that crypto is gone and gone forever. You find that even the FBI that we all trust, they can't be upheld, right? So this is what happens. You find that those guys like the Yahoo boys from North Korea and everything, that's what they do. They target the blockchain companies. Okay, so that's why at Swypt, both from the legal team and the technical side, we have security programs. We have arranged ourselves. Okay, we can't really explain our internal plans and everything, the programs to the public, but we have a couple of security audits, basically weekly, and our CTO is not around. I think when it comes around, we'll be able to explain everything, how we patch and everything. Yeah, that's from the security side. From the technical side, we still have ongoing security audits, and we promise to have promise to bring in the smart contract contests and bug bounty programs when time comes. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Stena. Maybe just to add to your point on security. At Swypt we care about security. Security is key to a system that is built on top of a system that is decentralized. Means everyone has power to attack you anytime they want. But for us, that being one of our pillars, yeah, we have one of our key utilities is self-custody. Self-custody means that me as a user, I have full control, full sovereignty over my assets. And what digital wallets actually do, they give you control as a user, right? They give you control to have access to your money and make financial decisions without anyone making it for them, making it for you, right? So Swypt will not hold the user's money. I think it's key that the community understands that. So it's just a gateway that allows you to bridge your assets to your local currency and stand at the middle of that gap. Like I said, there is limitations within our current system, and because DeFi exists, decentralized finance exists, this is a new era of financial revolution. And instead of decentralized finance coming to fight the current banking system now, we want it to intertwine and become one, because it's here to bolster and strengthen what we have. And I believe through blockchain and the self-custody, it will enhance security even more. Because I can say I'm not really, secure when I see my funds are being controlled by someone else. I don't like seeing money on my screen. I want to have control of it. Yeah, full control. Exactly. And Swypt, that's one of our main pillars. We want to ensure our users to understand that every time they transact through Swypt, all decisions and all assets belong to them. They have that power. If they decide not to transact, we cannot come in the middle, right? So we are a bridge. We just want to give our users a platform where they can do direct exchange between digital assets to fiat in an automated way. Mike, maybe you can talk about Swypt and its vision in terms of tapping into various ecosystems. I think it's better our users to also understand that we're modeling a product that is can be integrated to any ecosystem that is available out there. Not only banking, not only digital, apps like Apple Pay, Google Pay. We can tap into that, but it's key to let our users know how we strategize to do that. Mike.
Yes.
Take the mic.
Yeah, thank you, Davis. So, yeah, we were building Swypt, and even for people that are in the space, one of the very pillars of decentralization and decentralized apps is to make sure your system is open to other ecosystems. It is all the decentralized applications that you provide, they're always open to other ecosystems. You can connect your wallet with different wallets in Swypt, so we have not limited for you to use a certain wallet. In Web2 terms, it would mean if you had a KCB bank account, you could go to Equity and still use the KCB wallet, but still use Equity bank infrastructure. If you had Safaricom M-Pesa, you could still do that with any other bank. So in Web3, it gives us the leverage for you to use one wallet in many different ways as you can. You can use wallet in staking, gaming, you can use it in lending and many other ecosystems. So furthermore, our application can be plugged into ecosystem platforms like Jumia, Copia, any ecosystem website that you have, you can plug in Swypt right through it. If you are an individual who would like to receive your business funds or revenue in cryptocurrencies or in stable coins, Swypt allows you to do that. But why would the business want to integrate Swypt? First of all, it is to integrate different markets for your very own businesses. Decentralized wallets like Swypt can be integrated easily in different jurisdictions. Now, when you integrate your e-commerce website with Swypt, you can be able to receive payments all around the world. If you were to use, for example, maybe one banking system, you'll have to do payment settling. If you are an importer or an exporter, you have to spend a lot of time doing payment settling, changing your currency maybe to USD or a global currency, a global trading currency, and then the other guy receives it and then he has to do the same, and this is, even importers and exporters are currently having a conversation with that, trying to make that whole process of payment settling very easy. If I am a business in Kenya and I want to, to sell my products in Ghana, that payment settling hassle now is not going to go away. Because if you integrate Swypt into your business or into your website, you can be able to receive in seconds payment from across Tanzania, payment from across Uganda, Ghana, without needing to maybe have an agency or maybe a centralized payment settlement, for example, like a bank. So, and Davis had mentioned about our vision going forward, and Steve was talking about our utility cases. And our utility cases with our LIPA and Swypt is to ensure that we are able to facilitate not only cross-border payments, but cross-border trade. We are having a system where now it is being built by the African Union Secretariat, and the idea it is just payment settling. Why can't a trader in Ghana pay for goods and services using his Ghana CD, but a Kenyan businessman receives it in Kenya shillings? So that whole system that has been built by the African Union Secretariat, and then it has to have payment settlers like Swypt now. But at the moment, there's no fintech that is capable of doing that. Why? Because of lack of digital assets. So our digital asset infrastructure that is being provided by blockchain is the number one solution to make sure that the African continental free trade area achieves its goal, so that someone can be able to pay for goods and services here all around Africa, and then they can be able to receive. Integrating it with little cab, Uber, if you want to go on a cruise ship, you don't have to now go somewhere and exchange your funds. Why would you do that? You just do that sort of directly. So if you have these different currencies, you can be able to just play around with them, especially if you're a business.
Interesting. And just maybe to add to that, there's a particular use case that I'm usually very curious about, which is real assets. Yeah, it's a concept that has taken a while to come in, but I love how people are evolving quickly. Yeah, and real asset basically is taking a physical asset, let's say a watch, land, or even your car, taking a logbook, tokenizing it. Tokenizing means just digitizing that into a digital representation of the blockchain form of a token. Yeah. So real asset is quite interesting on this matter because its main aim is to unlock more liquidity that has been stuck for a while. Yeah. And most people have dead assets that are lying around somewhere. You can have an expensive watch. You can have. Yeah, so I'm saying real asset is quite a curious area because of the nature and the solid solution it brings, especially when it comes to dead assets that have been out there. People have land, people have watches, people have even gold, yeah. But you can have it in your house. How can you liquidate it quickly? Even bonds, yeah. Treasury bills. People tokenize that. And that's a use case that is currently going to open up a lot of liquidity to our market, into our economy. And I think it's high time that the government actually starts looking at such use cases and even giving license. And I'm proud to say that Alpha Fruits managed to do that. And they're currently doing, real asset tokenization for real estate. I'm hoping to have a meeting with the CEO very soon because I want to put that perspective in their minds on how we can be able to liquidate these assets quickly. because I'm happy that we were able to also, strike a partnership with U-Tribe, which they offer. They call it International Fungible Token, which is a tokenized representation of gold backed by real gold. And this will allow people to actually accept in a more seamless and easy way. And it was quite because we managed to understand that our current ecosystem works with mobile transactions. Yeah, this is just the use case because we want to tap into all payment systems. But you have to satisfy the needs of the current community you are in. You understand that mobile money is currently we have like Eastern African alone consistent of us 500 million. Mobile money alone. Yeah. And that's the only way you can be able to access that any quickly. The people in the industry want to get it. Yeah. So we want to bring them more use cases that actually make sense. Tokenize your land, use that to get microservice law. Do your tokenized asset. You still get it back because your asset is stored somewhere in the world and it's just an currently people are having trouble with the process of buying treasuries, buying bonds, and all that. But through your asset, you get a quick process. Just a few taps, you have your bond. Yeah.
Yeah, Alison. Focused on quite significance. So I think all the info from Accra, Ghana. I don't know whether Alex can hear it. Just joining.
Hi, Gachanja.
Yeah, hi Alex. How are you
Doing good. How are things?
doing? Can you still hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Alex, I think Alex is a very institutional player in the space. And so he's an actual player at the demo, and also so many products in East Africa, one including Web3 clubs. I'm really proud to be part of community. So I think James can us so yeah, so Alex, maybe you can tell me something introduction.
Chanja, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I'm just saying, thank you so much for joining us. Paul. So I think as a player in the industry, I think we need to appreciate your input so far. I think I can make it probably like a second action before we share a question.
Awesome. So I think if I had correct, an introduction, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I don't know why there's sound issues, but yeah. So my name is Matu. I'm an admin at Web3 Clubs. So what we do at Web3 Clubs is we install Web3 developer clubs at institutions and town hubs in Eastern Africa, and now Western Africa and Central Africa. So after installing these clubs, we resource them, and then we train through cohorts that go from anywhere from 4 months to a year. And I think I've known the Swypt team for over a year now, and I like what they're doing. And I'm encouraged by their grit and focus with building this product. And it's a product I look forward to using personally. Thank you. Thank you, Kashanja.
Alex, can you hear me?
Yes, now I hear you.
So let me just ask you, as as film performers, I think there are few things we covered now. Like, I think for you, being someone who was mentored so many different spaces, 3 years. So, what is that one thing you feel that makes a difference in terms of gaps in the space that have contributed to this? So, what do you think is that factor that makes a dev different in terms of making a huge difference in space?
Yeah, sure. Good question. So I think the one thing I see with the builders who really stand out is the builders who stick it through, who just stay around. Whether it's a bear market or a bull market, they're always building. And Web3 is quite narrative driven. And so the person who sticks around is is part of all those narratives that come and go, and they're able to see, what their peers are doing, and then they're able to iterate quick. They're able to have that inbuilt Web3 culture and have it grow in them, and they're able to spot good ideas and spot good talent and good community, and eventually, I think they're the guys who build better products. In terms of community, I think also builders who are integrated within community and have openness towards knowledge exchange and taking in new knowledge and vibing with their peers, also open naturally to receiving information that goes into making them better builders. So I think those two things, so sticking around and just being in collective and being in community.
challenging now for me was looking even now, I think there's already a university, like icon. When you look at an icon, you say, this is representing small, this is representing people, this is representing all these other sectors. And you know, blockchain buzzwords are lots and a lot of it. So for me, it has been a journey also of learning and trying to figure out what are the things that I can use design this so that in the next 2, 3, 5 years, someone can look at something and can say, even a Web2 user, a new can say, yeah, that is a gas fee. So you know what a gas fee means. Just as when you look at a Bluetooth icon, just as when you look at an Android icon. So for me, it's been a journey of trying to find identity, and it doesn't stop there. It is collaborating with different designers. You have to speak with designers all across the world. But I'm glad that blockchain has been, there's a culture in Web3. Sometimes different companies in Web3 projects, they can just get into partnership and say, we're getting into a partnership and we're going to explore this partnership. So in Web3, people just want to work together because we understand that this is a very new space. So you have to speak with a lot of people all around the world. At the end of the day, my goal as a designer is that in the next 3 to 5 years, even every new users, they can be able to say, yeah, this is this stands for blockchain, this stands for gas fees, this stands for smart contract, this stands for this, so that even if someone has never interacted with any blockchain application, it can be easily interpreted into the space. So that has been my journey so far. Designing blockchain.
Fantastic. Okay, on the security side, at Swypt, I've really had a very good feel. As usual, I said that securing a financial company is just like flying a fighter jet on an enemy airbase every single morning. Why? Because our first target is the airline. So those guys never sleep. So when they don't sleep, we should also never sleep. So when we have an update on blockchain, we have what we call 0 days. A 0 day is a vulnerability that's existing, but the vendor does not know whether the vulnerability is existing. So those Yahoo boys are well experienced hackers. They are good in detecting the 0 days. Actually, they buy those vulnerabilities at a very good price, more than what the backbone programs offer them security researchers. So these guys are always smarter. So for us, we have to be smarter than them. Okay. So you find that my experience in Swypt, I've really learned that you have to be on toes, you have to be updated, you have to keep researching day in, day out. Learning never ends. Also on blockchain. On the security side, securing the funds is never 1+1 thing. Because you find that the contracts and the pool and everything, the code base, after the audits, it looks valid. But during deployment, at some point, an issue comes up. So most of the logical vulnerabilities, these are vulnerabilities that arise when the product is live. Like we did not catch them during maybe the test phases on the DevSecOps and everything. So we have to be on toes, and that's why we at Swypt we do regular security audits, regular penetration testing and everything. We also have a plan to educate our users on the security, because if we have a secure product and our users are not well informed on the security best practices, that makes our product not beneficial to the user. So we also have an upcoming program to educate our users how to be secure while using our product Swypt. Yeah, so the experience at Swypt is fantastic. uh, I'm really enjoying the team building, the product, and everything. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tina, for that. I'm not sure if Alex is still at work. Alex, can you hear me? He's off. Okay, perfect. Kiega,
Yes.
man, you're late.
Yes. Perfect.
You're late.
No, I'm late. I think I was here just on time. It's 7:01, and the session was starting at 7.
You are here now.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, maybe just to introduce yourself to our community, let them understand who you are.
Perfect.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, as you heard, my name is Kega. I am the head of legal at Swypt, and essentially what that has meant is that I'm the one who is responsible for compliance, as well as ensuring that our regulatory framework surrounding our product is sound. For that reason, there are a lot of preemptive measures that we have undertaken as a company to be able to ensure that we are in compliance. And so I think a good way to start this conversation is probably by giving a small history on the watershed moments that have defined the blockchain space in Kenya. And so to begin this story, we start in 2015. And so in 2015, there was a case between Lipisha Consortium and Safaricom. And essentially the main issue in the case was that Safaricom was claiming that Lipisha was not able to ensure that they were able to comply with their AML license. And the reason that they were saying that was on account of the fact that they were dealing in Bitcoin. And so they were saying that essentially they cannot be able to assure CBK that they can be able to be in line with their license. And as such, they withdrew the APIs from Lipisha Consortium. And so the culmination of the case was that there was a determination that needed to have been made in terms of whether dealing in Bitcoin in Kenya would warrant an institution such as Safaricom to deny services. And so at the end of the year, the same year in 2015, there was a circular that was released by CBK. And this circular was important for a lot of reasons. The first is that the CBK said that cryptocurrencies and digital assets are in and of themselves risky assets and they're speculative. And for them, it meant that they were advising Kenyans or discouraging them from trading in these particular assets. So they went a step further. They equally said that for financial institutions, they have been warned against offering services to people who are offering Bitcoin services or any service that's on Web3 on account of the fact that they have deemed the assets as speculative. So that was in 2015. So in 2019, there was a huge change within the Kenyan regulatory system, and that was the introduction of the regulatory sandbox under the CMA. And so the reason why this is important is because it provided an opportunity for products to be tested under a customized or a tailored regulatory framework. And so essentially what that means is that it affords companies that have an innovative product to present the idea to the CMA, where they undergo a lengthy process of testing as well as essentially determining what regulatory framework would be ideal for that product. And so the culmination of that sandbox was that companies that were in the Web3 space or in the Web3 space that met the Howey test could apply to the regulatory sandbox and get a license. And so the Howey test is a very important instrument that is used by a lot of capital markets around the world to be able to determine whether a particular digital asset or instrument has matured to be referred to as a security. And so the reason why this definition is important is because securities are often offered some incentives and some specific guidelines under the law. So a good example of this is what Abraham Kirwa tried to achieve with his amendment for the Capital Markets Act, where essentially he wanted to define digital assets as a security. And what that meant at the time was that if you held an asset for less than a year, then you would get or rather the tax that will be imposed is income tax. While if you held this asset for more than a year, then the tax that would be charged would be capital gains. And so we are seeing the journey from 2015 to 2019, and now we are approaching to 2022, where Abraham Kirwa comes up with these amendments to the Capital Markets Act. But the interesting thing is that these amendments do not get the opportunity to be enacted into law. And so in 2023, we have WorldCoin coming into Kenya. And the reason why this is important is because of the aftermath of them coming into the country. The result of the same was that a lot of the government institutions are up in arms on account of the fact that WorldCoin was collecting a lot of personal information that was deemed to be very sensitive. And for that reason, a parliamentary committee was called upon to be able to determine the affairs of WorldCoin in Kenya, and also determining a way forward on matters dealing with blockchain and cryptocurrency in Kenya. And so once the parliamentary committee was done with its report, they concluded that legislation was required to be able to afford this new industry a good environment where people can be able to have innovative products, but at the same time also ensuring that a proper regulatory framework is in place to ensure some very important factors such as investor confidence as well as consumer protection. And so for these reasons, we have been able to see a very good interaction both with the government as well with other stakeholders. Because as I mentioned, the aftermath of that particular committee was that they determined that a law was needed. And the unique thing was that a self-regulatory organization, Blockchain Association of Kenya, was given the opportunity of drafting its own law, which is a Virtual Asset Services Provider Bill. And they were able to present the same to Parliament in February this year with the bid of ensuring that this bill is able to be translated into law, which would allow a lot of the players within this space to be able to have a legal justification of some of the affairs that we've been dealing with. Because as it stands, the legal framework that is still regulating this space is the 2015 circular from CBK. And so for that reason, we are very hopeful about the prospects that the government is showing in terms of supporting this industry. A good example of this is recently when Ruto essentially launched the possibility of paying at particular joints with Bitcoin. This was a Java, I believe. And so with increased government intervention and for them viewing this as a legitimate business enterprise, as a legitimate means of exercising your financial freedom, then I am very hopeful about the prospect, not just for now, but also in future.
Awesome. I think that is well addressed. So before we get deeper into how we handle the legal stuff. Okay?
Yes.
So I'm informed that we have a guest on the call. I don't know whether is it that? I think Wakisha. I don't know whether Wakisha can hear us. Yes. Yeah. Wakisha, welcome to the call.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. So welcome so much to our launch. It's been long time coming.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming up in our launch. Some of us mentored some of us. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Steve. Thank you so much to the team over here. And so just short and brief introduction. My name is Mokisha George. Nowadays I go by the name Ikenga. So a bit of background. I'm a banker by profession. I've been in the banking industry for a while prior joining the crypto and Bitcoin and blockchain space. And we have, been in the game for a while. I've seen my OG, Mr. Macho, in the call as well. So basically, we've seen the industry grow from its nascent, where we could hardly have a meetup actually in a quarter, and we could see only, the first meetup actually I attended was hosted by Blockchain Association of Kenya team. That is Mike and his team. These guys believed in Bitcoin since 2013. So they did a first meetup, several meetups around 2017, and that's the first meetup I attended in it was at Meta Dusit back then. So basically, the industry has grown tremendously. Nowadays, we have so much happening in the space. And I met the Swypt team late last year, in the last quarter, and they have an amazing product, which I think it's changing the game. And it's really impressive to see what is being built in the space. Yeah, so I have also been part of the growth of the industry as well. So I have managed to work with several entities, including Binance. So Binance was maybe one of the major crypto companies which I helped grow in the East African region. That is between 2021 all the way to 2023. And also I joined Trust Wallet immediately after that. So Binance and Trust Wallet is actually affiliated to Binance, and been there for the past 1 year, and exited actually last month. Yeah, so I hope you guys can hear me. Over to you guys.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right, let's go.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the introductory remarks that you've made. I think we are very privileged to have a pioneer such as yourself joining us on this call and on this launch. I think we will all benefit from some of the insights that you can be able to offer us. I think to start, maybe the question that I would want to pose to you is, given your experience both at Binance and at Trust Wallet, especially given what your specific docket was, what do you think has been the trend in the East African region in terms of the legal and regulatory framework around Web3?
Okay, so basically what happens in every technology, the tech comes first, the builders build, and regulators follow last. So usually, like what we have seen, actually, if we look back in the on the internet space, for example, we have seen that internet came around, at least started booming around, in the 2000s, and we have seen so much happening in the internet and also the social media technologies, which was catapulted by the entry of mobile phones. And we have seen a surge in people, downloading apps like Facebook, Google, using all these apps basically. But all of a sudden, we didn't see any regulations and we didn't see any framework, to regulate this particular platform, or rather this particular technology called the internet. And recently is when we see now the government is all of a sudden, taxing the influencers, taxing the people who are participating in that particular industry, right? And that's the same thing also we are seeing happening in the blockchain space as well. So the blockchain is here, right? And what we could just encourage any regulator is to put up measures to be able to, to tap into this particular technology early enough, so that the government doesn't lose as much revenue, rather than waiting for the time where now everybody's in, and then they're just running around now taxing the participants, or trying to come up with regulation to harm the builders and the participants therein, including traders and so on. So in my view, basically, Kenya has posed a stance that is lukewarm, right? They don't want to say they're banning crypto, and they also don't want to put frameworks which they are 100% adoption. For example, if you see in 2018, there was a task force that was headed by Dr. Bitangen Demo, and it was blockchain and crypto task force. So it was meant to just give the government a clarity or a way forward on how are they going to approach this technology, right? So basically what was recommended back then, including CBDCs, which was not called CBDC by then, It was shelved, right? The recommendations were shelved, and we haven't seen
Yes.
anything being acted from there. So what we see now is where the government tries now to come up with, laws, including the finance bill and so on, to tax the crypto participants, right? The digital asset participants, rather than coming up with
Yes.
frameworks on whereby you can regulate the companies, companies which are coming into the space. They need to also participate in the development of the economy of the jurisdiction, in which they are not being given that chance to do that because, of course, they are not allowed to register and operate legally in the country. So in the
Yes.
process, we see a lot of scams in the space. We also see people losing a lot of money. At the same time, we see young people losing opportunities to make money in the space, right? Because if these
Yes.
opportunities were well regulated, would find that we have a lot of employment, people finding ways to make income out of the technology, and also we see a lot of innovations coming in the space. Yeah, so that's
I think
basically
what
my
you're saying
take on the
is,
question. Yeah.
thank you. I think what you're saying is very important because it also illustrates one of the important things that embracing such a technology is going to demand, and that is having an adaptive regulatory framework that is able to adapt to the needs of the industry and of the technology and products themselves. Because as we all testament to, the blockchain space is ever evolving, and therefore having hard and fast rules to regulate this space would have the effect of stifling innovation and preventing innovative products from coming to market. And so I think the approach that the virtual asset services provider bill is offering is a good alternative, because what we are seeing is a multi-stakeholder approach where we are having all the stakeholders coming on the table and having an opportunity to deliberate on issues relating to this industry. And so to give you an example is that I'd mentioned that the Capital Markets Authority of Kenya had created a regulatory sandbox in 2019. And so what the virtual asset service provider bill seeks to do is to offer an alternative sandbox specifically for companies that are in the blockchain and cryptocurrency space. And the idea, as I mentioned, is to have a multi-stakeholder approach in terms of how issues are dealt with. And so to put this into perspective is that part of the members of this regulatory sandbox are going to be representatives from the Blockchain Association of Kenya, for example. We're going to have representatives from CMA, from CBK, and from other relevant regulatory institutions that are going to be relevant and pertinent within this space. And so the other reason that we are also really pushing for regulation in this space is also to be able to provide more security and confidence within this space. And a good example of that is the issuance that was given by Kenya being referred to on the grey list on account of not having adequate regulatory framework that can be able to cover this space. But at the same time, the government was very cognizant of such information, and they are very aggressive and really want to ensure that this space is regulated, both from the perspective of the CMA as well as any other authority that is responsible, for example, the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. And so with those remarks, I also have another question to you, Bona Mwakisha.
Yes.
Which is on account of the experience that you've had, especially in terms of being one of the very pioneers who began in this space. I'm sure there was a lot of pushback that you're having, both from consumers that did not necessarily understand your product on the one side, and secondly, there was a lot of uncertainty around the regulation. And so, in your opinion, what do you think has been one of the greatest opportunities in terms of the successes that you've been able to see? And secondly, what can you say has been the greatest challenge?
Thank you so much. I think that's a detailed question in two ways. So one of the greatest successes or opportunities that we have seen is the technology itself. So if I can bring it to perspective, blockchain is the only technology. This is basically the first time in history whereby we are seeing an avenue where anyone in the world, right, and Africa to be precise here, where anyone can own any property, right? Can own a property rights without having
Yes.
any third party or any intermediary coming to tell them not to, or or being any barrier for that. So globally, we can now have it's basically the first time in history whereby anyone can have a property rights to anything, being these digital assets,
Yes.
and they can actually be able to move outside their jurisdiction without property and without any barriers. So basically, it's a great opportunity for everyone across the globe and for every youth
Yes.
actually to participate. And because of that, we've seen a whole lot of wealth shift, right? So young people are seeing opportunities whereby they can participate in the global markets and become part of this new frontier, or the what we call the fourth industrial revolution technology. And that's why we find people are really feeling like they just don't want to miss out, right? And they want to be
Yes.
part of that. Now, the biggest challenge we have had now, again, as I said, is the technology, because technology itself is technical and it comes in a very complex manner. And it also, the way it's being dispensed is being dispensed in such a way that it's so complicated, or it's an alien to the traditional financial industries or traditional financial institutions that we understand best. So you
Yes.
realize that people just want that assurance that if I participate in this technology, I'm not going to lose, right? But the
Okay.
fact is that this technology, as it is, it's still on its early stages, and because of that, it also has its own risks, right? So people we have had these people that they feel like they just want to play a wait and see game, right? But also we have seen a lot of people, especially young people, joining the technology and trying to find solutions and building solutions for themselves. So one thing I can recommend, even the Swypt team itself, it has tried to change the game by coming up with ways in which it can integrate the traditional financial institutions with the blockchain institutions, whereby one can transfer value from a traditional
Yes.
financial institution to the blockchain, and seamlessly and easily with the lowest cost. So that's one of the greatest opportunities already we have. And if this is scaled up, we can see a lot of other
Yes.
products coming up along that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is very important, especially about the prospect of creating both trustless and permissionless systems where all parties are able to trust the other peer in terms of facilitating transactions. And as the Swypt team, when we were developing our product, that was a very essential facet that we were looking at in terms of designing our product. And for that reason, that is why we created a non-custodial product, where all you need to do is to connect with your self-custodial wallet to our platform, which would mean that we do not have the possibility of losing funds on our platform, because all you're merely doing is connecting to facilitate the exchange. The other thing that we thought was fairly important, especially in being able to boost investor confidence and being able to ensure that our product is secure, is the speed at which our transactions can be effected, which is a transaction in less than a minute. And so what Mwakisha is saying is very important about having the ability of using technology to be able to resolve some of the issues that we have been seeing within this industry. And another important thing that I feel that is important to shed light on at this point in time is is also on the aspect of how we're meant to be having integrations with traditional finance and regular finance, because a lot of people advocate for decentralized finance and say that it's not meant to be regulated and that it's meant to be a very free space. I agree. But on the other end of the spectrum, we increasingly have to ensure that these systems that we are creating can be able to protect our people, can be able to provide the value that Mwakisha is alluding to, where the wealth transfer can actually occur from traditional sources to these new sources where we are beginning to pioneer and explore. I think at this point I am going to ask one last question to Mr. Mwakisha. And the question is fairly straightforward, right?
Yeah.
The question that we have for you is, as a startup advisor looking at the industry, what do you see for the future? What promise do these technologies have for you and for all of us?
Mm-hmm. So I think the most important thing the developers and startups need to look at right now and is basically the user experience, right? Because we find that most devs, they build products with their thinking, right? Without putting the community or without putting the user first. So the user experience has to be seamless and smooth, and to people are supposed to use the technology without knowing it's blockchain based. Because
Yes.
what we have been seeing nowadays is that most of the developers, they build solutions, but they're so complex for a common person or a common mwananchi to understand how to navigate around. Because now we come here and start telling
Yes.
people, you need to paste your wallet address. Why don't you just use simple stuff, right? People which they understand. Just put your nickname here, put your phone number, something which someone understands easily, and integrate that with the technology on the back end. People use WhatsApp without knowing that WhatsApp is based on the internet, right? Actually, hardly do people understand the technology behind these applications that are based on the internet. So they use them easily,
Yes.
and because of that, it means that the adaptability of that product will be high. Okay, and other things we need to include to just look at, of course, is the security aspect of it, right? We've seen a lot of blockchain products, not the technology itself, but the products themselves being vulnerable to hackers and people losing their assets in the process. So those are some of the consideration we need to look at. But now, when it comes to Swypt, now what I want to see more is whereby it can be able to scale globally, right? It should be a
Okay.
product because technology itself, it's a global technology. Anyone can use it wherever
Yes.
you are in the world. And so it should not be
Yes.
limited to a certain jurisdiction like Kenya, right? It should be a product that can be seamlessly be used across the Africa. So right now, there's conversation about the African Free Trade Area. And from that conversation, there is now the conversation about what are the payment systems that are going to be used for people to be able to move value from one jurisdiction to the other. And that's where blockchain comes in.
Yes.
So if Swype can come
Yes.
up with products that can be able to be integrated on African Free Trade Area, movements of value and assets, it can really scale and it can go really high.
Perfect. I think what you're saying is fairly important because as Africans, we're often grappled with having to contend with very expensive transaction fees, and often we are often limited in terms of the money that you can access or the limits that you can also be able to send on a cross-border perspective. And so I think one of the most important things as Africans that we often need to explore is having financial freedom to be able to determine our own future, where we are not dependent on the colonial lords that have been controlling us for so long. And a lot of people look and view this as a thing where we have gotten so used to the system. For example, using Swypt or using PayPal or using very ineffective systems. And so I am very happy and proud that we are having a very good native system such as Swypt that can be able to usher in the new era of cross-border payments, not just in the African region but also globally, and at the same time having the ability of both transferring wealth and storing wealth for our users and customers. With that, I want to thank you so much, Bwana Mwakisha, for availing yourself to this session. I will now hand over to Steve.
Thank you so much, Makisha. This was a very amazing session. So I think as sort of people need to appreciate the time. Yeah, it's been quite amazing. Can you hear me? Um, oh yeah, awesome, awesome. So I think he's left. Yeah, so, but thank you so much, Mikisha. Yeah, so I think that's amazing. I think it's a lot of topics in the about getting by internet time. So we do have other guests in the call. Dominic, Linda, can you hear us?
Hello guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, can hear you, Dominic. Thank you so much for joining the call.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. I'm really honored to be here. And I love the work that you guys are embarking on. It's nice to see some familiar faces in that panel. Hi, Kega.
Hi, Panamulinda.
I think Dominic has really been a really good friend of Swypt over time. Yeah, so I think from the days of, I think it was for yourself, like, I've seen you grow from Fijan to Honeycoin. I think really proud to see you, as a builder, doing stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, man. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining the launch of product. I think we just get deep into stuff, stuff as we like, usually. So, so I think as a builder yourself, there's so much we've gone through, for so many years. And I think we'd like to talk about the journey, how it has been for yourself. Maybe you can share, as a builder for those guys who didn't come from like a technical background and then they found blockchain stuff. How's been the journey?
Yeah. Well, that's actually quite interesting. So yeah, maybe a little background of myself. I've been building actually in the space for a little over 6 years now. And Steve, you're right. I didn't start off as a technical person per se. My background is actually in math. I mean, it's not too far off, but it was an easy pivot to just pick up development and coding, and then I've been doing that for a while. And then over the last 4 years now, we've been building a lot of stuff in the Web3 and the Web2 space. So in the capacity that I serve right now as the head of product and stroke the CPO at Honeycoin, we've had the opportunity to kind of interact with what it means to deploying Web3 products both to the consumer side and to the B2B side over the last 4 years, and it's been a journey, and it's been an interesting one that pretty much entails just plugging into the communities that are involved, that are very involving, and learning what you need to learn, hiring the right people, and building the right team really to kind of work on the products that we've been able to work to this point. So yeah, I'm really grateful, super happy to be here. I'm really excited and stoked for the problems that you guys are solving for. It's a big one. It's a really big one, and it's one that's I mean, the amount of value that's just lost in, I'd say, even the traditional financial stack right now just warrants such solutions to be built at this point in time. So yeah, happy to be here. Yeah, and you guys are in good company. We're also trying to have a crack at it with what we do here. So yeah, it's amazing to have guys come on board. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think as a fellow chief product myself, like one thing I think that has always backed us over time is, we always want to build a product, especially, being Africans, as much as we want to build a global space, we often try to think from the basis of, hey, this product, the first consumers will be people who know. So, how's been the how has the experience been to build for where you come from, Africa, that is?
Yeah. So that's interesting. I'd say when we got started, we were more tinkerers than we were actually product people. I think Mwakisha actually ended on a very good note because I really related with what he ended with because that's definitely where I'd pick up from because most devs and most people at least that I've interacted with and guys who are really building in Web3 are very technically sound. I'm very enthusiastic about the space. And yes, there are very deep problems with the current financial stack that's currently operational, the TradFi. But they are really giving for, I mean, they're really providing really good experiences that are hard to beat on a Web3 stack. So the first thing that we did for us was we built up we started off building a product that we never thought would end up being what it is currently, both on our consumer and on our business side, but we were trying to solve the problem for content creators really in across the continent. And we had a really huge user base. I think our first 10,000 users were actually mostly Nigerian, and we wanted to solve for the fact that there are so many freelancers, there's so many guys trying to make money by being global citizens and having the freedom to like work for anyone and just literally earn good compensation. But as you guys all know, just in the space that you're working with, like payments is really fragmented, especially if you're coming from Africa. And so we thought, crypto just provides a very straightforward solution where folks can just be earning in the crypto of their choice and have it liquidated into the fiat that they want. And that's how we kind of started. And we kept pulling on that thread to the point where at this point we're just having under 300k users on our consumer platform, which is called Peer. And how the product evolved from solving that to what it is right now, I can only say it's been a series of like picking up lessons against what users are responding to and what use case that people are actually using it for. So initially, we thought it was for monetization, and then we learned very quickly how a remittance angle made sense for like our users, and then we quickly began realizing the problems around the on and off ramps. And I'm sure as you guys probably have figured it out, because I'm seeing like even the legal perspective is so well informed on your side. On and off ramps having very huge regulatory impediments, how to work within those confines, how to build partnerships for guys who can be able to facilitate that last mile service delivery and still maintain like a lot of the value proposition and the propositions that pretty much you are presenting to your customers, the things like really low cost. Because if you guys did like a traditional transaction between, let's say, the US and Kenya of over, let's say, just easily over $10,000, we'd easily be losing between, I'd say, 200 to 500 basis points just in terms of like the cost of the stack as it is. When you start thinking about the flow of funds, the clearing and the settling and the intermediary banks in between, and just the cost of effects as well. So those are the kind of problems that we really wanted to solve for with the promise of Web3, because of how, the finality of settlement, the speed, and just really deep liquidity in most of these markets, being able to facilitate such transactions. So those are the kind of angles that we went for. And we just kept pulling on that thread and then beginning to realize, okay, how can we augment that experience to providing, I'd say, services that fit in with the current user base that we have. And it takes a lot of humility, to be honest, to have a very grand vision of what you want to build, but reconcile it with the reality of how people respond to it and making those adjustments. And so, yeah, that's kind of been the journey to this point. And we do that for consumers, and now we serve just under 2 dozen businesses as well, with a different take of the same of proposition. And yeah, so that's kind of I'd say in a nutshell, that's maybe the 4 years boiled down in, I don't know, like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing answer. But I think for products that are that really aiming towards building for the African market, that's a really serious concern. And I think that one thing you mentioned that is always behind every person who is in product at any one time is speed. So because for you to execute in that particular manner, I think you can agree, speed in terms of shipping and iterating is quite important, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. I think a lot of how a company ships and build is usually kind of boils down to the founding team and the culture that they have. And I don't think there's a right and wrong way. I just know that folks who have like a bias towards action and deploying and shipping and learning, more often than not end up getting it right faster than folks who have a longer period of time to like ship and deploy and to test out a lot of core hypotheses. And the reason being, even when when Keko was talking about like the regulatory framework, that's 2015 to this point. It's taken a lot of startups to try and innovate in the space for them to even come to the table where now we have the draft crypto bill. And we were fortunate to be involved in a lot of those conversations. And I came to realize it's the guys who are actually actively building and trying to innovate in the space that are able to like now push the direction for how this space needs to be regulated, because even the regulators are learning from the guys who are trying to do this. And so provided you are keeping a very ethical a very ethical bar, working in step with your regulator and your advisors, and in this case, like if you're keeping the conversations open with whoever who needs to be like pretty much the entity or the government entity that regulates your space, you are able to actually have wiggle room to test out ideas in a safe way. And so there really isn't any I don't think there's any blocker with regards to why people shouldn't shift fast. And in Web3, we always think of it in such a way that like we want to keep building and it's fun to build, but I feel like you want to fail really fast, especially with Web3, because it's the faster you're able to iterate into the thing that makes sense for your product, the faster the win is for you and your team as well, and the faster the value you bring to the forth for the customers that you serve. So yeah, I'm a stickler for a bias towards action, bias towards deploying, testing, and learning and iterating. So that's kind of my MO all through the years actually.
I think in that regard, the Swypt team, we are essentially part of the same feather in that regard, because we're also really passionate about how agile we are in deploying new developments and features on our product, especially once we get feedback from our users. I think the question that I wanted to ask is, often we find that there are very unique characteristics about going to a particular jurisdiction. For example, the Kenyan users versus the Nigerian users. So as a head of product, has there been a need to localize a product to be able to meet a particular, say, unique feature about that population? Or have you been able to come up with innovative ways of still maintaining the essence of your product despite where you are operating in?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Kega. And the short answer there is yes. So for context, we are live right now in Kenya, Nigeria, TZ, South Africa, Ghana, and the EU zone, and also the US. And in all those markets that we've been able to do, our strategy has been very um, our strategy has been very our strategy has been very um, localized, in the sense where our first bias, especially when we're moving to a new market and we have to adapt, is to literally look at the suite of services that we have and what can we cover and what we can't cover. And for the things that we can't cover but are a must have in certain countries, we look for partnerships there. And the reason why I'm saying that is because sometimes you might seek to you should be okay to lose the margin in terms of like the revenue that you make or the profits that you make early on if it gives you market entry into a place that you are not familiar with. And again, as I said, the humble pie usually for me involves partner with folks who you know play really well in the space, go to that market, spend time there, look at their psyche, understand how the users think, understand the regulatory framework around the place, and then I'd say after that, count your cost. As a company, as an institution, what's the cost of entry here in terms of like if we do it ourselves, if we go through a regulatory hurdle? Now, over the years, it's looked very different for us, but how that's pretty much happened is we've ended up setting up subsidiaries in a bunch of countries, but it wasn't like at the onset. We didn't set up the subsidiaries when we launched. We actually launched ahead of time through partnerships. And the moment we could be able to validate the traction in a particular market is where now we kind of set foot in a particular market. So we'd set up a subsidiary there, go through the legalese, begin separation of entities and things like that, and then now begin to bring in going vertical with some of our service offerings so that we can now go deeper in the value that we provide in that market. So until that's pretty much been our strategy as we scale into different markets. But I have to say, like, Africa is quite tough in the sense where many people think of Africa as a single block, but beyond just the fact that we are very heavily fragmented, most of Africa is still very heavily cash based, and that's a big block as well. So it's the kinds of financial problems that you'd be solving for. I mean, depending on your product, might look very different in different markets just within the continent. So that's one of the most interesting hurdles that we've learned and that we are learning. And I mean, we're still continuing to learn even to this day.
Yeah, awesome. Dominic, I think one last question I think I'd like us to go through, which I'm sure people will just be interested to think about, is, as a builder who has built a product for retail and then also for the B2C, for the B2B setting, how has the experience been for each, where do you see in terms of, let's say, like peers, for example? Because I think I believe peers is a B2C in that regard. So,
Yeah, yeah,
how's the experience been, and how are you seeing that market going?
yeah. Um, I think I think I think it's so hard, and that's what I'm telling you guys. Like, I'm really so pumped and psyched for like guys who have fire under their belly just coming in.
Yeah.
But I think building for the consumer side is, in my opinion, very difficult compared to the B2B side. But that said, we had a fast bias towards building a consumer product, and we wanted to serve the retail market. We wanted to serve the small mama mboga, like providing utility through our wallet. But what we didn't know is that our B2C product actually gave us a huge moat in terms of like building infrastructure that would support B2B clients as well. So it was an easy segue for us to build out a B2B offering, given that we have built enough capacity in terms of the infrastructure. Like when you handle security issues, I had one of the security leads talk about the pen test issues. I mean, when you're building a consumer product, you're gonna be tested through and through, and the guys who are not sleeping, best believe they're not gonna be sleeping. And so it literally serves to build out like good infrastructure. And for us, how that kind of benefited us was just building enough of a moat to enable us transition. Now the needs are very different. For the I mean like the segmentation of the customers that we're serving on the B2B side is very different from B2C side, because you'll realize most B2C transactions are very, let's say, low ticket, high frequency transactions, while B2B transactions are very high ticket transactions, low frequency. And but they're all different. They all present different challenges. It's like M-Pesa can easily move up to 250,000 for someone every day, but can they move 10 million every day for someone? Like, it goes through like it presents a different set of challenges. And so those are the kinds of nuances that now we had to like navigate as we try to streamline the different offerings that we have on different fronts. So yeah, the experience for us would, I'd say, B2B was easier, but still presented its own nuance of challenges. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much our experience.
Yeah, awesome, Dominic. I think that's amazing. Yeah, so yeah, of course, I can say thing even at this point where we are serving, of course we're increasing our user base, but even at this point, I can agree. Retail is quite a task, especially in Africa, but still, we keep moving anyway and keep adjusting.
Yeah. Hey, of course. Stay open-minded. Stay ready. It's going to be a fun ride. I'm
Yeah.
so ready to start testing out your product as well. After the demo.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course, man. Yeah. So, yeah, I think we are good to go as Swiped. We have built a quality product as a world-class team. From the development, from the dev side to the legal side to the product side, from security. Yeah, I think it's quite a really good place to say that, hey, as much as it's a difficult market, we are ready to like handle it. Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. That's the attitude, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, all right. So thank you so much for joining. It's been an amazing discussion. I'm sure there are so many founders out there who are going to listen to this particular conversation live, and it's going to be amazing. Yeah. So to hear you talk about all this stuff, and I think we'd like to appreciate all the guests who have turned up for the call, and even I think influence really tells a lot, because I think we're really surrounded by really interesting people from legal side. I'm sure you can say that, Kega. From security, from our CEO himself, can say. I think what has made Swiped is the friends we have made in the industry, and the people we have done business with so far at this particular point. Yeah. So because that is what has informed our world-class team at this particular point to make a product that is ready for a very difficult African market. Yeah. So, yeah, I think we can say that we are winding up to the launch of our product. I think as a co-founder, I like to appreciate, every part, every single person in the team that has made this a success to this particular point. We have built a product that has raised quite a lot of a lot of questions, but still we are seeing making a difference in the smallest of ways, even as we are rolling out past beta. Yeah. So I think at this point, yeah, I think the whole team has joined the studio. Yeah, I think we can wind up with probably a demo, and then probably chit chat for the next 10 minutes as it talk about like different things. I think one thing I'd like to start with is legal side. Kega as our chief legal. Yeah. So, how's the experience been, and how is the industry becoming over time? As a product that is seems to be standing out so far.
Perfect. I think that's a fairly good question, because what I've noticed could be the bane or the success of the industry is the ability of ensuring that these solutions are as simple as possible. That's the first thing. But secondly, that there's enough education and awareness about these technologies. The reason why I say that is because when I joined the team, I did not have any awareness of the Web3 space or blockchain or any of these technologies. And so I was the best person for them to test out their product with, so they could understand how a normal consumer would be appreciating and experiencing their product. And so for that reason, our product is very, very easy to use, because our intention is both to offer services to the retail consumer as well as to institutions, B2C as well as B2B. And with some of the features that we are going to be rolling out soon, such as Lipana Crypto, we'll have the ability of doing both micro and macro payments. To put that into perspective, is that we want to facilitate the ability of buying a mandazi for 5 bob with whatever digital asset that you have, and the person gets the money automatically to their mobile phone via M-Pesa. And so I think
really focusing on this last mile project is what we need to really focus on as an industry, where we can be able to offer this value to the end consumers that have not been experiencing such kind of value and services. And to put this into perspective would be the gig workers that often have very huge challenges in getting paid, or a Kenyan consumer or a person who is creating products here in Kenya, but by the time they get paid, they don't have enough operating capital. And so as an industry and as Swypt, our main concern is being able to offer these last mile services, both to our retail customers as well as to institutions. And now, without much further ado, I think we shall be proceeding to the demo. And okay, perfect. The team is telling me that they might need a bit of time to set up, but that notwithstanding, we can continue having a small engagement here with Steve, where we can be discussing some of the other important things about our product, the features, and what you can begin enjoying on our product. And so one of the main features of our product is that we have decided to become a secondary market for real-world assets. And one of our partners, as you can see, has been Gift, where we are offering a tokenized token of gold, where you can be able to essentially buy it from our platform and use that either as a store of value or to transact in whatever way that you want. But at the same time, we are not limiting ourselves to the Gift token. We are also open to offering tokenized real-world assets on our platform. And so what this is going to mean in the financial industry is similar to the revolution that we had with mobile payments. Because with fractional ownership, it offers the opportunity of essentially a lot of people that could not access this opportunity accessing them. And a good example would be the Gift token on our platform. So one Gift token on our platform is 10 shillings. And one would say that for you to be able to buy a commodity such as gold, you need to be able to have a particular amount. You need to be a sophisticated investor. But now, with the promise of Web3, we are having options of having fractional units in assets that we actually have an interest in. And so this could be gold, it could be in real estate. And in other countries like Ghana, we are finding people tokenizing things like mines. And here in Kenya, we're having people tokenizing avocado trees and allowing farmers and a lot of people who have been losing value to get it back. And so I think the promise of having a secondary market for real world assets for me is a game changer, because it will offer the liquidity that was presently not available. That's the first thing. And secondly, it will also provide liquidity in industries that were lacking on account of some of the nuances that were affecting the industry. A good example, for example, when you own real estate, by the time you're able to liquidate your interest within that asset, it may take a long time, and that would make you possibly lose value or money. And so if you have the possibility of a secondary market where you can be able to liquidate your interest in a particular asset within a very short period of time, and for us, it's in less than a minute, then both institutions as well as retail providers can be able to hedge against inflation, can be able to transfer their funds, money, and value cross-border in ways that they will actually value for themselves. Because one of the things that you're trying to achieve as Swypt was not just financial freedom, but providing, thank you, but providing financial freedom in a way that we Africans would want it to be viewed, that we are having the opportunity of being the authors of our own destiny. And so we are very proud of the products that we are creating, having the possibility of having a secondary market. Secondly, the exchange where you can be able to transact in less than a minute. The stable coins that are also on offer. So over and above the Gift token that we've just talked about, you can also be able to get other tokens such as USDC and USDT, as well as wrapped BNB, which would allow you to have a very good security in terms of the speculative nature of how some tokens often are. And so for that reason, we are very proud of some of the functions and features that our products are offering.
Yeah, and I think before we get set on the demo, I think we are going to probably talk about a utility. I think at the most best case scenario, how can you use what can I say, Swypt? For example, you're in Canada, you'd like to send some remittance back to Kenya. You can do so, because there are platforms that can enable you to get that USDT with the USD, for example, Venmo and Cash App and the likes, so that you can be able to send back to Kenya. And you see, and I think one really critical part when it comes to utility is the cost of transactions. So what Swypt has managed to do in terms of cost of transactions is to narrow down that cost of transaction because of the benefit of blockchain to literally probably less than half of what is there in the market. So, which makes it quite affordable to do back transactions. Yeah. So, and the simplicity of actually doing that particular process in less than a minute, we're talking about like 30 seconds or so, is quite legendary in its own particular way. And like one other critical utility is business. You have a shop. You're somewhere in Juja, somewhere in Thika, somewhere in Naivasha. You have a shop there, but then you're wondering, I have to move my money from my pay bill or from my bank to a certain dollar account. What if you were able to receive that particular payment directly into USDT? Yeah. So I think there's so much utility, and we'll keep on discussing that. And just lastly, before we get into the demo at the moment, the entry point in terms of using Swypt, you can be able to use Swypt as long as you have any self-custodial wallet. And what I mean by that is Trust Wallet, MetaMask, Binance Web3, you see. So which makes it quite easy for you to interact with your USDT in your wallet to make a payment at Naivas, at YC, so and so on. Yeah, so I think at this point, it is 8 p.m. So thank you so much, our viewers, for joining. I think we'd like to do the demo. I think I'd like to invite our CEO to run us through the demo of our product and the next way forward and the updates. Yeah, Davis.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for the good work. Thank you for the presentation and all our guests. I think this is the most important part where we get the chance to give our users a feel of what we're actually talking about. And I'm happy to say that our very able team in the engineering side have been able to, give us something, something that started as an idea, and now it's a product that is out there for people to actually use. Yeah, so are you guys ready? Okay, thank you. So maybe we can just begin. So I'm sure right now on your screen you're able to see the dApp itself and how the UI looks like and everything, all the tabs that are there. This is basically our user interface, and this is the most simple user interface that anyone can find. It's easily interactive, and it's just a few clicks you're able to, get to achieve what you actually want, which is direct transaction. So we would like to start by demoing the three utilities we have there, which is the on-ramp and off-ramp, and Lipana Swypt, which allows you to do payments to, till numbers, M-Pesa till numbers. Just pay for your daily utilities. Yeah, so are you okay? Okay. Okay, now I guess we will start by doing a deposit transaction, which is basically now on-ramping from M-Pesa to your wallet. So you will start by connecting wallet, as you can see. You connect, you choose which wallet you actually want. We have various choices. So for this case, we're going to choose MetaMask. And our pool right now is on BSC, which is Binance Smart Chain. So
right now he can input the amount that he wants to on-ramp. You choose the token you want to on-ramp USDT. So let's say we're doing an example of on-ramping 100 bob. So now you can proceed to deposit. Click that. You input your number. So that's his number. Now, from this process now, if you click confirm, what will actually happen is M-Pesa will send you a prompt, an SDK push that will allow you to input your PIN for the amount that is going to be deducted from your M-Pesa balance. Yes. We've put the PIN. Now it's finalizing the deposit. As you can see on the screen, it's processing and updating the wallet balance. Very good, very good. That's a successful transaction. As you can see, 0.77, that's worth of USDT that has been credited to the user's wallet. So meaning the amount has been deducted from his M-Pesa. Yes. Maybe you can show the balance. Perfect. That was deposit. Now we're going to do a withdrawal. Yeah. Do you have USDT? I think whatever you've on-ramped. Or you can just 0.7. Okay. That's 89 shillings. This is the amount minus the fees, network fees. So you can see it's doing a direct conversion of how much you are to receive. Okay, can proceed. Perfect. You can proceed to withdraw. Click that. Input your number again. So meaning that the amount will be deducted from your wallet and it will be sent to your M-Pesa account. Yes, now it's processing an approval transaction. So it will open up the MetaMask wallet for you to do an approved transaction. Yeah, so let's just do an approve. Yeah. Perfect. Approved transaction. It's processing. Wonderful. Now the final transaction, which is the actual withdraw. After you've approved the amount that you want to be deducted from your digital wallet. Wonderful. So you can confirm the transaction for it to be sent to your wallet, be sent to your M-Pesa. Now you can proceed to cash out. Click that. It's processing to cash out. Now we should expect the money to get to your mobile money wallet. Let's just give it a minute. I think it's the internet. I think will be an issue with the internet. You can process it again. Perfect. As you can see, now the transaction was successful. It has been sent to his M-Pesa. I don't know if we can be able to show this. I can bring it close. Can the users view?
Can we test with the user on the chat?
Yeah, maybe we can test with the user on the chat. I think that's That makes much more sense. Yeah, maybe you can, anyone in the chat who is able to, can send their number. We do a, yes, maybe someone in the chat can send their M-Pesa number. We do a live withdrawal to your number. Has anyone sent?
No, I think you can just display it on your phone for now.
Okay. So are you able to? We have one. What? What's the number? 07. Can you put in the amount, let's say 10 bob? Or 100 shillings? Just send 100 shillings to them. Yeah. So the user will receive 100 bob. That's a gift to the community. Can you say the number, please? 07. Yes. 42. 727. 319. 319. 319. Yes. So that user is going to receive 100 bob. That's an airdrop for him. Yeah, do the approval. Proceed to withdraw. Yes, now this is the final transaction, which is to process that and deduct it from the wallet and then send to the user. Okay, it's now processing. Cash out, click that. Or can you do it? Do you have enough gas in your wallet? Okay. Wonderful. You can see now the transaction is successful. I think it's because of internet, but I think now that's the full process of our. Can you check if the users received the money? Let him confirm in the chat. Has he commented? Perfect, perfect. What's the name of the user? Wonderful. The user has been able to receive. So you can see how our P2P payment system, an automated one, how it works very fast. So our aim is just to ensure we simplify this process and give users a product that they can interact with and have fun with. Yeah. So on to our last demo, which is our utility payment for Lipana Swypt, which allows you to pay for utilities in any shop that has M-Pesa till numbers or pay bills. So that amount is going to be deducted directly from your wallet and sent to the merchant, whoever you're buying goods from. So does anyone who has a till number in the chat? Huh? Can you ask if anyone has a till number, business till number we can do that demo with? Kunayo? Kuna mse ako na till? There has to be someone with a till number.
You can pay a random bill, like electricity. Can you do pre-bill?
You know what? It's more convincing when someone in the chat sends their till. Yeah. Has anyone sent a till number? Yeah. What are people saying there? It seems guys here don't run businesses, so nobody has a till number, really. Okay. One last chance. Who has a till number? This is free money we're giving out. Okay. No one has a till number, so I guess. Okay then. You want to take someone from outside?
No, just with the regular one from the butcher.
Yeah, the comrades in the chat don't want free money, it seems. As you can see, it's processing now. Lipana Swypt. A user is able to pay for utility through Lipana Swypt, which sends the amount to a merchant's till number. You can see how the transactions happen very fast. And this is what we are trying to give you guys a product that bridges this challenge that we've been having, that liquidity is locked up on chain, and we don't have solutions really that are able to give way into such, So I'm happy that you're able to do this. Now you can be able to use Swypt whenever you want, or whenever you work into any supermarket. You just pay directly from your crypto wallets. Yes, now we are processing payment. You can finalize the payment. Very good. What's wrong again? Come on. Yeah, perfect. You can see now the transaction is successful. You have paid to our till number 9969761. Which till number is that? Who does it belong to? Yeah. Oh, it was a butchery somewhere in Ruaka. Now they've been able to receive 128 shillings, just free money like that. Yeah, lucky for them. Yeah, so thank you guys. And this is a product showcase. Now I'm happy you've been able to see our main utilities we are offering. And if you're able to interact with Swypt, this is what you're going to use. This is what is going to make your day easy when it comes to transactions between crypto or digital assets to local currency. Yes. Otherwise, I think we've come to the end of this process. And thank you all for showing up and able to listen to us, listen to the product. We're going to iterate as much as possible so that we reach at a point where we give you a product that is fully catered for all your needs, and you're able to do transactions seamlessly without any worry. And when it comes to security, that's an ongoing process that will always be doing audits, frequent audits, and frequent iterations on the security on the back-end side. Yeah, so thank you so much for your time, guys. Looking forward for another session like this, which we're going to have many of them coming, because this is just a beta launch. We're going to have a main launch and another even grand launch for our product, putting it out there now to the region, which is Eastern Africa. So thank you so much, guys. Hope to see you soon. Swypt out. Yeah.